CZ Redhead Deluxe 12 gauge over and under shotgun. This model is the 28-inch barrel model. I purchased it new in December 2013. I paid about $900 US total for the firearm, and I wasn't able to find very much information online about this gun before I bought it, so it was a bit of a gamble. I was in the market for a $1,000 over-under shotgun. There are not a whole lot of choices in that price range, and I took a gamble, figured let's take a look at this one and find out if this is a good value gun for the $900 that you'll spend to get it. I'm not going to go through a review of the gun proper. I will go through an initial disassembly and what I found when I disassembled it, and I'll give you impressions of the first 100 rounds that I've put through it so far. Okay, so disassembly on these over-unders is really simple. In this case, pull this tab on this forestock. That allows this piece to just pivot right off of this lock piece. Put that aside so it does not get damaged. Next, go ahead and release your barrels and then separate the barrels from the receiver. They'll come apart quite easily. And then the first tool you'll need is a Phillips screwdriver. Apply just a little bit of lubrication. You'll insert this through this plate. There's two Phillips head wood screws that you need to loosen up and remove. Okay. Alright, with the butt plate removed, the next tool you'll need is a 12mm socket. I put it on an extension and a ratchet. Insert it through the opening in the buttstock. Take a few turns out of this bolt, a good 3-4 full turns, and then what I like to do is gently tap on the bolt to push the bolt down, which will in turn just push this receiver that little bit off of the wood stock. And you can see that introduced a little bit of separation right here. That's just going to help you get the stock removed off the receiver a little easier. Okay. Loosen that bolt completely. At that point, the receiver can be pulled directly off this wood stock. Do not force anything. Also be wary of this lever, which can easily scratch your wood stock. If you're forcing it, you're doing something wrong. Anyway, gently pull it right off the stock. Put the stock aside. You won't need that until you reassemble. And that gives you access to the receiver. I have no plans to do any disassembly of these components. I don't think it's necessary. Just get a good aerosol shotgun cleaner, blow all this out, let it dry, lubricate all the obvious spots, and I think you're going to be good to go. This can be disassembled. Just make sure you take a good picture first. The CZ manual that comes with your gun is a joke. All it really has in here, any value, is the parts diagram. Other than that, it's of really no use whatsoever. So just be careful. Know that when you're buying a CZ, you're not going to get an extensive owner's guide with full schematic diagrams and any detailed procedures. Alright, I'll show you how I remove the ejectors. It's pretty straightforward. You need a 1/16 inch punch so you can depress this sear pin, and you'll need a pair of needle nose pliers to pull that little pin out. These other components, the ejector and this wedge, will slide right out. Okay, what you do is you press in this sear pin and then push this wedge out a little bit. Now when you do that, you also need to relieve the spring pressure on this ejector. So what I do is with my right hand, I just push the ejector in, just that little bit, and then with my left hand push this sear pin down, and then I'll try to pull it out a little bit with the with this punch. Alright, I'll probably block it a little bit from the camera, but you'll get the idea. All right, push that down, push the ejector in, and pull this wedge down a little bit. Just enough to move the wedge and allow the ejector to come out. You can also pull the wedge out, just block that sear pin from popping up with your finger, and then you can pull it out with your needle nose pliers. The pin and its spring will come out together, and you can clean all that out. Now, what I noticed right away in this gun is the quality of the machining. Right? It's nice and polished on the outside, and the fit of the ejector in its channel is actually quite good. Maybe a tad bit sticky, but there's no play at all in this. But I will say that the underside of this ejector is not a very polished piece. It's got a lot of it's a rough surface here. It's not been polished. It's been stamped with some numbers, but I definitely think there could have been more work done on this ejector. The other side is exactly the same as this. But you know, these are the compromises that you're going to get on an $800 shotgun versus a $2,000 or more shotgun. And for my purposes, I'm perfectly willing to live with that. Now you can also remove the ejector spring and the ejector spring pin. That again can be cleaned out. Again, you can blow all this out with some aerosol cleaner. And this thing was really dirty. The removal procedure is identical on the other side. To put everything back, replace your ejector spring and spring pin, slide your ejector in, get your sear pin and sear pin spring back in their captive hole. Okay. Get your wedge. It only really goes in one way. You can't turn it over. And you can't really go the other way because the hole will be up on the top side. So use your punch to press the sear pin, slide your wedge in, and it'll capture the sear pin. Slide this wedge up almost all the way to the top, push your ejector back in, slide your wedge in, and you're good to go. Same thing on the other side. I want to say one additional thing about this butt plate. If you can, I wouldn't even call it a recoil pad. It may be hard to see, but half of this hard plastic, and then the other half is the softer recoil pad. This thing is a joke, and my shoulder got worn out in the first 25 shots with this gun. This piece has, in my opinion, needs to be replaced. It has this hard plastic on the top, which I think is, you know, helps from it getting bound up on your clothing, but my first opportunity, I'm going to throw this piece away and replace it with a proper recoil pad. I'll also use that opportunity to adjust the length of pull based on the recoil pad I'm going to get and the length of pull that fits me. But I would say on this gun, I'm extremely happy with it. 100 shots in, except for this piece. Throw it away, get a limb saver, a Kickies, or any of your favorite recoil pads, and put it on immediately, and your shoulder will thank you.